On the phone, we have one of the newest members to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He needs no introduction. We're just going to get off the bus running. Former Notre Dame and Los Angeles, St. Louis Ram, Pittsburgh Steeler, Jerome Bettis. How you doing today, Jerome?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's been a long time coming getting this Hall of Fame. Did you think it was ever going to come?
I was hoping that it happened, but this is a very, very exclusive club to be in, and so I understood that it was a process, and I was just hoping that my time would come pretty soon.
Well, I looked at the list of NFL career rushing leaders, and I see a bunch of guys in the Hall of Fame who are not number 6 on that list as you are. So there would have seemed a certain inevitability, but after a while you go, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I had hoped so that when you look at the list that says all it needs to say, but unfortunately that it didn't materialize into being elected. So I was patient, and I was willing to. I understood that if I didn't get in, it just wasn't my time. It wasn't that I wasn't worthy; it just wasn't my time, and that's how I was able to keep my sanity about it, because I understood that there was some great players that went in before me that deserved to be in. Every guy that went in, when you look at those lists, they all deserve to be on there. And when I look at the group I'm going in with, there was also another 10 guys on that list that deserve to be in that just aren't in yet. And, it's not that they don't deserve to be in there. It's just it's not their time yet. And so that's how I had to look at it.
It could be worse. Look at former Pittsburgh Steeler Jack Butler. He waited 50 years.
Exactly. Sometimes you got to be patient.
But sometimes it's difficult for that too.
Oh, it's difficult every single year. Make no mistake about it. That's the difficult part. But you have no choice. It's out of your hands. If I could, score a touchdown and make it happen, you better believe I would have been through the hole, and there would have been anybody to stop me. So, but unfortunately, you're not in control of it. You can't determine the outcome. So you have to kind of hang on and hope that it happens.
How does a guy who grew up in Michigan end up going to Notre Dame? Did Michigan drop the ball and not recruit you?
No, Michigan, it came down between Notre Dame and Michigan. But what it boiled down to for me was that I played fullback. Michigan had just recruited the number 1 tailback in the country. And there was a situation where I knew that he was going to have to get the football. I was a fullback, and I could run the football, but it was more, Michigan's offense was based around the tailback running the football. So I knew that my best opportunity was going to be at Notre Dame, where Lou Holtz's system was really predicated on the fullback having success. So it fit me and who I was.
I thought it might have been Notre Dame had better bowling alleys than Michigan.
I'm sorry, you thought it was what?
I thought maybe Notre Dame had better bowling alleys than Michigan did.
No. Michigan has the best bowling centers in the country, and actually per capita has the most bowlers of any state in the country. So it's a big bowling town.
What was Coach Holtz like to play for?
He was amazing. He was great. Coach was, he was a dictator now. Make no mistake about it. If you got on his wrong side, you were in big trouble. But he expected you to be disciplined, play with respect, and play 100%. And he helped develop me into the player that I became. He was great. But if you got on his bad side, watch out.
So how often, if ever, did you get on his bad side?
I never got on the bad side because I always knew, hey, be on time. That was the number one issue, and the quickest way guys got in big trouble was by being late. So I always knew you better be early so that you ensure success. Because if you were at a meeting late, you better believe it's going to affect your football, and that's the last thing I wanted to affect. So I was always smart enough to know, be sitting when he closes that door, or else you're in trouble.
You talk about being patient. As a freshman, you carried the ball 15 times. Did you say to yourself, hey, I should be carrying the ball 15 times a game?
No, you know what? My freshman year, I understood what the hierarchy was and how everything went. And I knew I was a freshman, and Lou Holtz, he hated freshmen carrying the football. And he said it to us. He told us. He only do it if I have to do it, that type of thing, because he had veteran players. And you have to remember, at that time, he had All-Americans at every position. So I was playing behind some great fullbacks already. So I knew that I was going to have to be patient. And the fact that I was able to crack into the starting lineup as a freshman, that spoke volumes as to what he thought of me. And he finally gave me the ball, a couple of times, and then in the bowl game is when he gave it to me a couple of times. That made a big difference. But it was one of those, I knew as a freshman I wasn't going to get too many opportunities.
Well, you sure came about as a sophomore there. You had, 20 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards rushing? And
yeah, he made up for it my sophomore year by giving me the football every which way possible. He threw it to me. He gave it to me at the fullback position, and he also put me at tailback sometimes when he wanted to go three wide receivers. Then I became the tailback. So he gave me a lot of opportunities to carry the football starting my sophomore year.
Did you enjoy running the ball more or catching the ball? Because a lot of running backs think that they're wide receivers.
No, I never had that idea. I was almost about 250 pounds in college, so I didn't get it misunderstood. I understood that it was best for me to keep it on the ground, and also I couldn't jump that high, so I knew it was in my best interest to run it every chance I got.
if I remember correctly, I remember watching you play in college, and they used to talk about you. Did you used to run up and down the stairs at the stadium to work out?
No, not too much. I mean, we all had to do it from time to time, but that wasn't the majority of what we did. We did a lot of running. Don't get me wrong, but never really the stadium stairs. I think we did it maybe once or twice as punishment, more than anything else.
What were those Michigan Notre Dame games like? Did Holtz get up for them more than Navy and other teams like that?
Games? Well, yeah. I mean, it was a big rivalry, and it was usually the first game of the season. So it meant that this game, the first game of the season, pretty much determined whether or not you had a chance to win the national championship. So the games were very, very heated because it's the first one, but also if you lost, you pretty much lost, your chance to win a national championship. So it was huge games, and Coach Holtz was always in an uproar when it was Michigan week because he understood the significance of the games. But us, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, we never really truly understood the significance of that game and how early it was on our schedule.
How did you convince Coach Holtz to let you tape your shoes and ankles? Because he didn't let anyone do that.
Well, I had put that into the deal when he was recruiting me. I told him that in order to get me to go there, I wanted to have the ability to take my shoes like I did in high school. And it took a little while, but he finally decided to let me do it, so I was able to tape them up before every game.
Any of your teammates look at you and say, "Hey, how come I can't do that?"
I'm sure a lot of them did, but they never really said anything to me about it. And it never became a huge issue, but it was something I wanted to make sure that I had in the deal, that's for sure.
How difficult of a decision was it for you to leave after 3 years?
Actually, it wasn't that hard a decision when I met with Coach Holtz after my junior year. He wanted to meet me and my parents. So they came in and we all met together, and Coach Holtz told me there that I had done all I could do in college football and that I should go and test myself in the NFL. So he gave us his blessing, and that was the end of it.
Did you have any idea that the Rams were going to draft you in the first round?
Well, yeah, I knew it was only two teams in the top 10 picks who wanted a running back, and the two teams were the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams. And there was two running backs. It was myself and Garrison Hurst, and so I knew that it was either one place or the other. So I had an idea once Arizona took Garrison Hurst that I was probably going to the Rams.
Did you have a preference which team you would have gone to?
No, I didn't have a preference. I didn't know much about either franchise because they was on the West Coast and in the western part of the country. I didn't really follow either team, so I didn't know much about either one and really had no preference at that point.
Were you a Lions fan growing up?
Actually, I was a Dallas Cowboys fan growing up. I didn't watch a lot of football because I grew up as a bowler. So I didn't play football until high school. So I didn't watch. The only games I really watched was on Thanksgiving, and it was either Lions playing or Dallas playing, and Dallas usually won all the time. So I kind of watched them as opposed to watching my Lions.
You flourished as a rookie under Chuck Knox's system, and then because he was known as a running coach, and then Rich Brooks comes in. Was that a big adjustment for you?
Yeah, it was a big adjustment, but it was more so in his philosophy more so than on the field. He came in and he felt as though I had lied to him because he had asked all the veteran players to come into training camp early because he was putting in a new system. Well, I was in the middle of a contract dispute with the team, so I held out, and he felt that I had lied to him because I didn't come on time when I was going through a holdout. And at that moment, that was pretty much the end of our relationship. And so he pretty much, he would put me in the game for, a series or two series and take me out for the rest of the game. And so he pretty much ended the relationship that I had there with the Rams.
So you pretty much knew that a trade was going to come about.
Yeah, I was hoping that a trade would come about. I had told the management that if I didn't get a trade, I was going to retire, and I was serious about that. I went back to school and re-enrolled in school, and I was committed to not coming back. And they eventually, once they saw I was serious, they gave me permission to seek a trade, and that's how I ended up in Pittsburgh.
That was a great move on your part because, the Steelers have always been known as a running team. From Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer, and you were going to be playing under a great coach in Bill Collar.
Yeah, and it was a great move for me for my career. They had just come off of losing a Super Bowl to the Dallas Cowboys, and so this was a Super Bowl caliber football team that I was going to, and I just felt that it was going to be great for me and for my career. And as it turns out, it was. So it made a big difference.
What was Bill Cowher as a coach like?
Oh, he was great. I mean, he was a player's coach. He was the kind of coach that related to the players well. He knew what we were thinking, and he also, he gave us leeway to go out and take care of business. And definitely a championship coach. And they've also mentioned his name for the Hall of Fame. He'd be somebody that I would vote for. I tell you that much.
With the Steelers, at one time you ended up on the bench, not being a starter, and you talked about patience before. Were you able to have patience then until you got your chance a second time?
Yeah, I was. I understood it, and I'll never forget what I said when I found out. I said that I had been on the other side of most of Coach Cowher's decisions, and that this time I was not on the positive side. I said, but I'll handle this like I handled the other times, and I'll deal with it, and I'll work my way to hopefully changing his mind. And then by the end of the season, I was able to change his mind and become the starter again. So, I was patient, but I also understood that you deal with the ups and the downs with the same humility, and I think that's what makes you a professional.
You were involved in a kind of controversial call during a Thanksgiving Day game with the coin toss in overtime. You said that you called tails and the ref said it was heads, and they changed the rule now that you make the call before the coin flip. How was the ref not paying attention, or what happened there?
If I knew it, we'd have got the play changed. I wish I could tell you. I guess he misunderstood, didn't hear. I wish I could tell you what happened, but what I do know is they gave the Detroit Lions the ball, and they went down and kicked the field goal, won the game. And after that point, I got fired from the coin toss. Coach Cowher fired me. That was the last time I ever called a coin toss, so that was the end of it for me.
They watch replays for everything, and there was replay then. Couldn't they have replayed it and heard what you were saying, or watched the film and read lips?
Yeah, but it had never happened before, so they didn't have a protocol for that. So it was one of those. We were in limbo. You had to they took the referee's word for it, and that was the end of it, which I can understand, but it was devastating for us because we lost, I believe, the rest of the games that year. That was the sad part.
In 2005, Steelers played the Bears. You had a 2-touchdown game, and there's a play at the goal line where you ran over Brian Urlacher. Does that stand out in your memory as one of your favorite plays?
Oh, absolutely. That was that game was a great game because it really propelled us to winning a championship. So, when I go back and think of that game, that play really signifies, what everything was about. It was about winning, and that play kind of signified what we were able to do and able to then go on a 4-game winning streak and get into the playoffs hot, and then win another 4 games and become champions. And it was definitely because of how that game went. It really propelled us because with us, we were playing a playoff game a lot before everyone else, because that game meant if we lost, we were out of it, and we won, and then we kept winning. Next thing you know, I was holding the Lombardi Trophy in my hometown of Detroit.
Thank you.
Is it true that Ben Roethlisberger talked you into coming back for that final season?
Well, he didn't talk me into coming back. He promised me that he would get me a championship. We were talking on the sidelines after we lost the championship game the year prior, and he told me, give me a chance. You come back, give me one more year, and I'll get you to a championship. And he was a man of his word. He kept his word, and we won a championship.